Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, and for everyone who's new here, hi, my name's Lara and welcome back. Today I want to introduce you to part 2 of my beginners and expert guides videos, and I wanted to introduce you to my new background. I got myself a very big new mouse pad for work and it suits as a background for the videos too. So let's start, I'd say. Like I said, this is part 2 of 2 from my guide videos. Part 1 was something I introduced many people to the hobby itself and what you could get for a beginner who's new to the hobby, which isn't that expensive and which is widely available. And today, even though there's one or the other controversy, I wanted to wrap around the other side of the story, like the more expensive stuff, the not that good available stuff, and things like this. Like the last time, let's start with the books, this time with the color by numbers. This is a little color by pixel book called Pixel Puzzles by Brain Games. And the reason I say this is more for experts or for people who do the hobby a longer time than beginners is because of the colors. Plain simple. Like, the pictures themselves aren't hard to color, but the colors that the book shows are widely in the gray tones, and you have many things you need for a picture like this. If you see, you have the black and 4 other gray tones here, and here are some colder grays even getting introduced, and it's the same with every picture. Not only that, the color range gets a little bit bigger in the book too, so it is something you don't really have the pencils or pens for in the beginning, in my opinion, because yeah, you may have 5 to 6 green tones, but what if the green tones don't really work out or something like that? And the color palettes are a little bit too advanced for a beginner, I'd say. Not to say that a beginner can't buy this. If the pen and pencil collection is big enough, by all means go ahead, but this is something I had to save up some pencil and pen collections for to be able to color something like this, and I can imagine that I'm not the only one who was struggling finding colors with a less bigger collection. The next 2 books are a little bit similar in this case, and these are the French Hachette books, the Disney books, as well as the normal books and blogs, because of the color again, and second of all, because of their availability. If you, as an American, want to buy a book like this, you have to import it either from Mexico, as far as I know, or France itself. And the import duties, taxes, the shipping and everything is pretty expensive in my opinion. So a book like this costs you about $20 for one book. I mean, you can do much in the book itself, but it is extremely expensive if you consider what else you could get for that money. So, same thing as with the other book. By all means, go ahead if you really want something like this, or if you really want a book. But, like I said, the colors are very hard to get by sometimes if you don't have a big enough set. This is, most of these pictures are mixed media. I have some Crayola Super Tips, I used some Faber Castell markers, I used something of my normal markers I have laying around here, Tombos. Some of them are even, like with this picture, this was from the 72 set of Prismacolors. I was very lucky to get all the colors here. So yeah, it's a beautiful book, like all of the books, but same thing. It's pretty pricey for the beginning, and you need a lot of colors to be able to color everything in here. And like I said, with the little book, of course, the same thing. The color palette itself. Even though sometimes it isn't that bad in the little books, but yeah. Like for example this one, you should be able to get this pretty easily. The next books are non-color by number books. And maybe this one is a little controversy for you because it is widely available. Kerby Rosanes books. In my opinion, this is a very, very good book to introduce you to shading, as well as it takes much time to color something like this realistically because it's so detailed. Let me show you an example for that. Like this double page spread of the leopard. You can see that Kerby himself shades a little bit in the pictures themselves. Like some are a little bit more gray in areas, some are very white, like this snowflake or the bird. And if you want to start shading, his books are very good for that because he indicates a little bit where you could put the darker color, where you can put the lighter color, but nonetheless, a double page spread like this would take you hours upon hours to finish if you want to do it realistically. And for me, this is something that I get intimidated by very much. So I think this is more, this is a book for the more advanced people, for the people who really want to get something out of their pictures. You can do beautiful things if you try to do something like this realistically. Of course, you can color it just one color. Like I did with a picture in here, it took me about 50-60 minutes. It wasn't that big of a deal, but like I said, if you want to do something like this realistically, it will take you hours. It will take you some knowledge of where to put color, even though it indicates that pretty good. This is why I say, if you want to start shading in a coloring book, Kerby Rosanes would be good for that because it indicates very good where you have to put the color for the beginning. And if you do it, it looks good at the end. I have to say that. And down to the last books. Maybe for some people it's a controversy too, but in my case, especially with this one, Hanna Karzon's Soulmates, faces or people in general. In my opinion, people are something that is very hard to color. The faces, to get them right, to get the shading right. For example, how my art teacher used to say, nothing in a picture, not even the eyes, are left white, so you have to know which tones of gray you have to mix in there and some yellows to really get a realistic look. So, for example, I have a picture that I finished this month, and this is a mixture of acrylics and my Polychromos, and it is very lightly shaded. It's not even a big shading process I did here, and it took me much time and it took much effort to get it where it is right now. But in general, I think faces of people are the hardest thing to do, like fur and animals, something that's really hard too, because it takes so much time, so much detail to get it right, and skin tones are not only like some pink and some beige. There are in some cases there are blues, there are yellows, there are reds, so that the face looks realistically really. So yeah, Hanna Karzon's books, due to the fact that they're a little bit pricier, but the the paper itself has a very, very good quality. This is something I would recommend for someone who likes the hobby very much and wants to get something more detailed, something you could use multiple mediums in, because the paper quality allows it very, very much. So yeah, Hanna Karzon's books, definitely something I wouldn't do as a beginner. I have to say, before I started coloring books, I have a background of doing portraits and drawing itself, so I know or knew one or two things about color theory and stuff like this before I started coloring, and it helped me very much to get around some things in the beginning. Like, this is actually one of my older books, and I totally shot myself in the foot with that because I didn't know where to start, where to end. But I had fun, don't get me wrong, but if I had known about some other books, I definitely wouldn't have picked that one and would have picked another one to start with. So, that was it for the books. Okay, next up, there are the mediums. First of all, I want to show you the dry mediums. And the first medium I'm going to show you are the Faber Castell Polychromos. These are my older pencils. The Faber Castell Polychromos are an artist-grade coloring pencil on oil base from the German company Faber Castell, available in 120 colors. And as you can see, there are many, many beautiful colors. Yeah, first of all, because of the price. This is the first reason why I'd say these are some things you should get if you are really into the hobby. These cost me about 150 euros in the metallic can. It's the full set, like I said. And these pencils have a learning curve to them. You don't put them together and they blend together magically. Of course, you could do an easy job with 2 or 3 colors, but if you want to blend like a yellow and a purple or fuchsia, it takes a little bit more work and a little bit more time. Some little helpers for that could be like this blending pencil. That's by Caran. You have just a wax pencil you could blend the colors together with. Another pretty helpful tool is a pencil extender. So if you have a pencil like this one, you really can't color with it that good on its own. But with a pencil extender, you just slip it in there and you can use this pencil for a few more spaces. So, of course, like I said, the price point with them, it's a pretty expensive set, especially full set, but you can buy them open stock. So if one of the pencils is done and you run out of a color, you can get these in open stock at most places that sell art supplies. So pretty good set for that, and beautiful colors, but expensive and something you should invest in if you're really sure. On the same note, the Caran Luminance Pencils, they have a line called Pablo II. This is a little bit less expensive, and with the Polychromos, the price point of them isn't that expensive because, oh, these are the best pencils in the world, even though I think so. But the price point is because of their 100% light fastness. These pencils are created to do artworks that last for at least 100 years, no matter if the sun is shining down on them or they hang up in a room where you never let the sun in. These pencils are there for artists who want to make a long-lasting artwork that looks like freshly drawn even in 50-60 years. So this is the main price point of them. You don't get this with Crayola pencils, you don't get this with the student grade Faber Castell pencils. These are pencils that will last you a long time, that have a high quality of pigment, a very big quality of pigment, and I think they are well worth their money if you know what you're in for. So the blue of the Caran dash will color a blue space as good as a Prismacolor Premier does. But if you want this blue to show up in 100 years and the Prismacolor blue maybe fades after 20, you know you want to opt for this set. This is only a little set because I didn't buy the full set now, as of right now. It's a pretty expensive one, especially now in lockdown. They are at 250 euros, round about that, for the 72 set, and I'm not willing to spend that right now. So yeah, these get important in a little while, so I'm gonna let them stay on the side because I want you to see something. I want to show you something. On the same note, dry mediums that you will or have to use wet if you want to use them in full. The Neocolor II by Caran dash and the Faber Castell Albrecht Dürer pencils. These are watercolor pencils, water solubles. You could put the Inktense right besides them, even though you would get them liquid again if you put some more water on them. With the Derwent Inktense, this is not possible. They have India ink in them. Once they dried up, and that's it. But yeah, I only have these two right now. Use them for little embellishments in skin tones when I use wet mediums. And these two get in handy pretty much. The next set, only a little set too, the Caran dash. Neocolor IIs are, yeah, look like crayons a little bit, feel a little bit like crayons. These are water-soluble crayons, and many people use these for backgrounds to really get stunning details, like galaxy backgrounds with these colors, and do a little bit of shading on some wood with these colors, and they get really intense if you layer them, but that's the point. They have a little bit of a learning curve to them too, and you have to really know what you're doing with your water solubles to use these up to their full potential. But they are beautiful if you know what you're doing, and if you look at videos of Color with Claire, for example, she does many backgrounds with them, and they turn out like printed beautiful pieces, in my opinion. So next we get up to the wet mediums in general, and one of the sets I swear on is my Pitt Artist Pen set. Not only because you can use them in some water images too, because they are India ink based like the Derwent Inktense pencils. No, they have a brush nib too, so you can get really fine detail with them. And like I said, due to the fact that they are India ink based, they don't really bleed into your artwork. So the pencils themselves have the barrel of the color they are giving, have a color number. I hope you can see that. Yeah, have a color number and their color name. And like I said, a brush nib that is pretty much it's very bendable, I'd say. Like, you can get a really fine point with them, but you can get a really broad point with them too. I really like these. And like I said, when they dry up, they don't really smudge at all. And like the let me show you again. Like with the Polychromos, they have some stars down here too. 1 star means they don't have that good of a light fastness. 2 stars mean they are pretty good, and 3 stars mean maximum light fastness. So the price point here, the same thing as with the Karan Luminance or the Faber Castell Polychromos. The light fastness plays a big role in them being that expensive. And for the last thing today, the grand thing, the investment that will cost you at least one of your kidneys, Copic markers. These are ranging, depending on where you get them, from $4 to $10 a marker. These are goddamn expensive, but these are an investment. You got them once, you never have to buy them again, unless your pens explode your markers, but I don't think that they will. This is set A of set A, B, and E for the Copic Ciao markers. The Ciao markers are available in 180 colors. The full set of Copic markers includes 358 colors, not including the markers you can buy without any ink inside of them to mix your own. And this was near to 300 euros. So this is pretty expensive and something you should buy if you are really sure about your hobby and you want to use this for your hobby. Some people would like to get to your throat and say, how dare you to use something like this in a coloring book, but to each their own. I illustrate with them as well as color with them, even though they are this expensive. But like I said, the nibs are changeable, they are refillable, you can mix your own colors with them in the sketch line, and these are a lifetime investment. If you have all the refillables for this, you can use these pencils till the day you lay. It's simple as that. So these are like the most expensive supplies I think you could get, just because of their price point. Their availability is pretty good. You can get them in pretty much every art supply market, but like I said, you really have to love these to be willing to spend this amount of money on them. And now to the thing I wanted to show you. I really like to use my Copics either as groundwork or as a mixed media opportunity, because we all know that Colorless Blender no one really uses. And let me show you something that I found in an art hack video and that I use pretty frequently since then. So you're gonna take this Colorless Blender you don't really use for anything else. I'm just taking the one I'm using for this at the moment, and you want to do something with your pencils, and you start to color a gradient maybe, or even want to get this color more solid. Like you can see, especially with paper that doesn't have this much tooth to it, it is hard to really get in there if you don't want to get your pencil used up like in an instant. So just let me get a little bit of color down right here. And the beautiful thing with these guys is that the alcohol breaks down the binders inside of pencils like this. So if you use your Colorless Blender on top of your artist grade pencils and even other pencils, not only these pencils, you really get out that vibrant color of them. You even can drag some color out of them too, and it really gets to a beautiful blend. And let me show you an example. I used this color to do a background in this book, and I didn't really like it because of the streakiness, and then I was like, but I have some colorless blenders. So I blended and blended, or more like I colored the whole background and went over it with the Colorless Blender. And as you can see, it gets to this waxy point, this shiny point, and it looks so much better than if you only would have used the pencil on its own. Like, of course, you can press very hard and get to a color like this, but if you only press lightly, you see that there are many white marks, and you can see changing directions in them. So I opted for this route, and I think it turned out pretty good. So that's a little tip I can give you on the mixed media side of things. You really can get some very cool things done if you use a mixed media instead of only one thing. And this is something I like to do very often, just coloring with the pencils in the background and go over with the Colorless Blender, or do the groundwork with the Copics and shade with my artist grade pencils, and you really get some very cool results in my opinion. So that was it for the expert's guide, or more like the if you really want to lose a kidney for some art supplies, then go ahead and buy them guide. So I really hope you liked the video. Maybe you found something you really like. As with the last video, I'm looking that I'm gonna link everything down in the comments, down in the description, if I can find it on Amazon US. If you really want something that I can't find, DM me on Instagram or leave a comment. I show you if you want the German link, because I'm getting nearly everything from Amazon Germany instead of Amazon US. So if there's anything that isn't linked and you still want to look at the product because you're interested, just hit me up and I try to provide you with something. You can buy it if you want. So like I said, I hope you liked the video. I hope you found something that you like, or maybe you saw something that you use too and really enjoy using. I hope you have a great day, stay safe and stay healthy, and have, like I said, the best day you could ever have. So, bye bye.